In a changing world faced by increasing threat of climate change, insurmountable amounts of plastic in our oceans, and a corporate environment that faces increasing pressure from the global community to move towards more sustainable business practices, the concept of the eco-industrial park seems like a really good one. This more eco-friendly model looks to create a social and physical closeness between firms that allows for easy communication and collaboration. By streamlining their operations and making a commitment to sustainability, these businesses are able to reduce their intake in water, raw material, and human labor, all the while setting the bar for their less sustainable competition and reducing their carbon footprint, all of which benefit their surrounding communities. The example I'd like to talk about today is an agricultural spin on the eco-industrial park called the Intervale in Burlington, Vermont, a 700-acre expanse of forgotten farmland on the then very polluted Winooski River, bounded on the other side by the shores of Lake Champlain. By the drudges of the 1980s, this historic farmland had become an informal dump for all of Burlington's laziest residents. According to the website, mostly things like old tires and furniture. Its restoration began in 1986 with the founding of the Gardner's Supply Company, a nearby local business owned by a guy named Will Rapp, and over the course of 35 years, the land's been converted into what I can only describe as the ultimate mixed-use space, today claiming over 350 acres of restored land. The complex in total hosts 9 small and medium-sized local organic nonprofit farms. Some long-standing farms serve as mentor farms for newer incubator farms, and each farm has its own unique specialty. There's the Diggersworth Collective, which sells wholesale produce and herbs. Franklin Abrams Bees sells honey. The Half Pint Farm sells baby vegetables. Hollow Herbs focuses on medicinal plants. The Intervale Community Farm is a CSA that specializes in herbs, flowers, and berries. Pitchfork Farm produces root veggies. June Farm sells cut flowers and bouquets for weddings and independent retailers. And Sugar Snap sells mostly to local restaurants and caterers. Combined, these farms produce more than $1.4 million a year worth of produce for Burlington residents. So how does this whole thing work? First, waste from the 9 farms ends up at Intervale's centralized composting facility, where it meets food and yard waste from Burlington, combined with the wastewater from Burlington's famous Ben & Jerry's ice cream plant. The fertilizer produced at the composting facility is sold to homeowners, professional landscapers, and Intervale farmers, saving them and the city of Burlington hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of landfill costs. The rest of that eco-waste is spent at a 50-megawatt biomass generator in the center of Intervale, which not only provides electricity for the facility, but also warms an above-ground array of greenhouses with its heat waste. That biofuel is also used to power a fleet of tractors and loaders for internal use. At the center of Intervale is its work as a community-focused nonprofit, the Intervale Center. Beyond being able to buy fertilizer, Burlington locals can make use of the park's extensive network of walking trails and recreation areas, subscribe to weekly fresh Intervale produce, and rent out their own plots in the community garden. The Intervale Center also hosts community events with local musicians and hosts sustainability and farming-focused workshops for public school students. Its proximity to the University of Vermont also offers increased opportunity for further education and internship experience. There's very little that Intervale is obviously doing wrong. At worst, there's only a few ways to improve. A transition to solar or hydroelectric energy, for instance, would eliminate Intervale's dependence on fossil fuels during the off-season, when there's less biofuel being produced. And in the summers, excess energy could be sold back to the city. Beyond that, if there's a problem with Intervale, it's that it doesn't cover enough ground. I'd like to see strong, stable projects like this one expand their reach to different regions so as to benefit perhaps more rural populations. Providing encouragement and support for revitalization efforts like the ones that led to Intervale's creation in the 80s could help contribute to a movement for sustainable farming all around New England, which would be even more effective in combating problems like food insecurity and inefficiency in rural areas less prosperous than Burlington, an already thriving community with an existing interest in supporting local produce farmers.